So looking at the front here, you can see it's got a lot of functional vents. These are for the oil coolers in the front. On the inner towards the middle, these front brake ducts. It's got these cameras in the front. License plate cover. You got this splitter in the front, just plastic, not carbon fiber. You can actually set spots within your GPS system, so it will automatically raise. Let's say that you know there's a speed bump somewhere or a dip, or you got a steep driveway, what have it. So you can do that. And then you can see here you got some more functional vents that lead to the engine compartment. Speaking of which, we'll go ahead and pop. You got your frunk and your trunk / engine compartment release right there. So what it does is it pops up. This one doesn't have the engine cover display package, which is I think like an extra $1,000. I don't remember, but so here's really your rear window that separates you from the engine right behind you. It's a different sensation hearing the engine coming from behind you. And then, as you can see, you got the struts completely mounted right behind the engine. So it is about a 60-40 weight split. And then I know that this comes with the performance exhaust system. It does have valves in it that open and close based on your drive mode and RPM, stuff like that. And you got some more cooling ducts here, as well as kind of up here, it just helps vent some of the engine heat up. Speaking of which, if you are to put stuff in the trunk, where I now have the Targa top, I noticed last night I was also driving like a complete animal. Some of my stuff did get hot, so just keep that in mind if you're taking it to get groceries or whatever. I would try to put as much stuff as you can in the front that's perishable. One thing I think is funny because of the amount of storage that's up here, or whatever the cubic feet, is the fact that they have an emergency release. Like the only thing you could fit in here is maybe like, I don't know, an infant or a toddler. And I don't think they're gonna know how to use that button, but yeah, pretty messed up that you even have to have that. But you do have a 12 volt up here to power stuff. Windshield wiper fluid. And brake fluid, that's about it. Obviously, if you don't have a passenger with, you can put in the passenger seat there. So I'll show you this on the inside. Definitely one of the best features. I think it's on the LT2 and up. You get the rear view camera mirror. So instead of getting basically from the rear view mirror, just a view through that small window, and then basically having to look through this rear glass and in through the engine compartment and stuff. It actually projects through that camera, so you basically just see what's directly behind the car. You can zoom in, zoom out. Of course, full LED headlights, tail lamps, you know, if you name it. The thing to note, kind of hard to tell on video, but the passenger mirror actually sticks out farther than the driver mirror for visibility purposes. This thing definitely doesn't have the best visibility as far as blind spots. So door handle is located just right here. And then in case of emergency, I know if the battery dies, I believe it's up in here. Oh, right up in there. You can pull your key out of the fob and manually unlock it. And then from the inside, there's this ugly little plastic thing. You pull that and that'll emergency release the door. But with that, we'll go ahead and move on. start though. So there's a couple latches that you gotta flip in the front here. I haven't actually done this yet, so we'll see if I get it right the first try. Okay, and then there's a button in the back you push. And I think it flips that back latch on. And I think all you do is remove it. Would you look at that? It's actually quite light. A little hard to do this without my proper camera equipment, but you know, we're making do with what we can. So, I might have to take my jacket out here, but kind of limited on space. I had to move my bags into the vehicle so I could fit this into its locking position in the trunk, but I believe it's supposed to just latch in here. Yes. Would you look at that? Perfect. So now we got a Targa. Soft close. Bada bing, bada boom. You gotta lift it from the side when you do open it because, well, you got the spoiler right here. Now we can get some of that California sun up in there. All right, firing up this monster. We'll see if you can even hear me after. Start with the display in the front here. So you got this little drive mode selector that's kind of underneath this nicely leather wrapped, well, it says mode rate on it, but I have it in my mode right now. But if I turn it one more time to the left, it'll go into weather mode, and then it kind of shows you like where everything stands as far as brake feel, engine shifts, engine noise. So anyways, yeah, when you switch through the drive modes, it actually switches the display a little bit here. So that's my mode, tour mode, sport mode, which, I mean, it's kind of what I have my mode set to. And then full on track mode, got your tachometer up there. Really hard to see right now, but if I was in drive, it actually displays kind of like a little bar up front that goes from green to red. That'll tell you like when to shift if you're in manual mode with these, what I believe to be magnesium paddle shifters. Feel great with this dual clutch. And then there's this little Z button, I know, that really kind of puts you in the mood, but you can see it. Yeah, you can edit the Z mode, so you can go ahead and just click it right there without having to monkey around with this. If you're driving, you know, you want to get into whatever mode as your preferred setting, just click that. I mean, with a car like this, I'd imagine it's a more sporty one. Yeah, with that, you can go ahead and, as you can see here on the right side of the steering wheel, configure, I guess, just some display options, show your audio, performance timer. And yeah, you can kind of just scroll through things with this. But anyways, then left side, you know, just cruise control. Don't believe this has adaptive cruise. I could be wrong. I'll let you know down below if I do. Auto up and down, of course. And then let's just look at the materials here, since this is supposed to be competing with high-end cars. Everything's nicely stitched, soft touch. There's a door, button. It's kind of weird to say button instead of handle. Yeah, everything's stitched though. I noticed under some lower end bass frequencies, as you'll see in my audio, portion where it's located. There's a subwoofer built in here. You'd never even know it, but there's a vent here and down here. That's either an 8 or a 10. I'll leave that down below. But yeah, everything on the door feels solid. Nice soft touch materials. It's not the most plush armrests that I've seen, but yeah, I like all the aluminum accents. It's got the Bose in quotation performance series. Not my favorite sound system in the world. It hits the not super low bass notes. I mean, the super low bass notes in the 20 hertz shake the doors and you can hear the woofers, but it's more so like the 30s to or like 40s, and then the 50s are kind of just dead for the bass. And besides that, the sound system's not bad. It does have speakers located back there, but you don't really hear them. It's supposed to have the Centerpoint 2.0, but I don't know. I'm overall not really impressed compared to other sound systems I've heard, but you don't really buy this car, I guess, for a full-on sound system. You buy it more so you can listen to that 6.2 LT4 behind me. Rest of the materials though, everything is stitched, soft touch, everything's put together nicely. These vents are kind of cool. You just sit and basically move them wherever you want. And it feels like you're in a full-on kind of fighter jet cockpit. I don't know, maybe if I got used to this. I'm not really a fan of these buttons being along here. Oh, there are little arrows, I guess, if you look, because I was like, I don't even know which one's for the passenger side or driver's side, but if you look really close, there's an arrow pointing each direction. So, but anyways, let me know what you guys think of that. I think this looks super cool, the shift levers. But anyways, I'm not going to get into depth into this because this is typical GM's user interface. I mean, everything's very easy to get through, very quick response. So yeah, of course you got wireless Apple CarPlay now. There's the home button right here, volume knob, even though you won't really be using that because you got the volume switches right here, and then the seat buttons down here, and then even the navigation map that comes in the car. Very easy to use. It's like a tablet, you know. I mean, you can change the angle of it, make it kind of 360, zoom in, zoom out, whatever. So yeah, not gonna go into too much depth with that. Well, we can go to cameras. Yeah, you can see some of the different camera angles. Put on trajectory lines. So there's your front splitter there, so you can see if you're getting too close to, you know, when you're parking or something like that. So maybe this doesn't have the performance data recorder in it. Oh, here we go, right here, performance data recorder. Yeah. Okay. So video overlay, recordings. There is no SD card, but I know it shows like your you can customize this so it shows like your G-force meter and stuff like that. The overlay, sport, timing track, yeah. But G-force meter and times and speed, stuff like that. So yeah, as you can see, no SD card. And but yeah, besides that, very intuitive, very easy to use. Yeah. And let's see what else we got. Oh, of course, heads-up display, as I kind of already mentioned. Yeah, all the controls right there, and then you can customize it to display really whatever you want. But the resolution's good. That rear view camera mirror, so nice. I mean, this is what you'd see if you didn't have that. So visibility terrible without that. With it, I mean, flawless. I mean, the resolution's great. Even multiple microphones located up above, of course, as you expect, LED lighting. And these seats inside here with the carbon fiber build and just the side bolstering, everything, you fit in here nice and snug. It's very adjustable. I think you can even be a bigger boy and fit in here, make room. Of course, unlike some of the older Corvettes, like the C5 that had the most shallow, just, I mean, pathetic cup holder. You put any drink in there and accelerate, that thing's spilling. But yeah, so you got cup holders there. Little center console there with USB-C, USB, and 3.5 millimeter jack. Wireless charging pad back here. I like when they put the USBs inside the center console instead of up front, because I don't like cords running, especially if you're in a manual. They get in the way, yada yada. All right, let's figure out how to open the glove box. It's none of these 100 buttons that I see. Oh, there we go. It's a blank button. Interesting. Okay. Well, so there you go. It's it's dampered opening, felt lined, of course. Looks like it's got some decent storage. And I can see it does have an LED light in there, so it is lit at night. Unlike some of GM's other vehicles, like I know the last gen Escalade didn't even have a lit glove box on the Platinum model, which is pretty pathetic. And just a few more things, switches. So you got your traction control off, you hold it down for, I believe it's about 10 seconds, you turn off stability track 2. Your front lift system, that, like I said, will lift it in 40 millimeters, and I think it's like 2 seconds. And looks like you can push that for, you think it'd have a camera that shows you just directly in front of you too, especially if it has a data recording. But anyways, yeah, that's, once again, if you pull up to something. So does it really not have auto winch or auto wipers? Interesting. It doesn't say auto anywhere on there, which is a little weird. I don't see any auto high beam. Once again, a little weird, but okay. I love auto wipers, but anyways, I guess most people aren't going to be driving this around in the rain unless they happen to roll through a storm. But besides that, I think that kind of concludes the interior portion. Here we'll actually see the clever placement of the woofers built into the door. You can see it if you look up in that ventilation a little bit, but looking down here, it's still kind of hard to see on camera, but the woofers vent through here at the very bottom. So it's actually built behind this. You wouldn't know that there's a woofer behind there, but then you got mid-high range there, as well as back here, one here, rear center channel, and then obviously same on the opposite sides. Yeah, you look down there where the stitching is, you'd never think that there's ventilation here and down here for the woofer. And obviously you got speakers, tweeters up there. Another center channel, it's right here. And same with the other side. So, I mean, in my mode, I have the steering in its, I guess, tightest setting. So, I mean, yeah, it's got a little weight to it, very precise. Brake feel, even though it's brake-by-wire, I can't talk about it on the track because I'm not taking this to a track. But on the street, I mean, you wouldn't know. It's got good, quick feedback. I mean, as soon as you put a little press on the pedal, you wouldn't know that it's brake-by-wire on the streets anyways. Maybe if you abuse it enough and start to get some brake fade or something, then you could run into some problems. But besides that, getting off the line, this thing is an absolute machine. It does, of course, spin the tires a little bit. It's got a lot of power, but it gets it down very quickly. And the way this thing's geared, it's got a very quick first gear, and I believe the last two. So the first 6 acceleration, then the final 2 are overdrive cruising. Yeah, suspension I have it set in its stiffest setting. It's very stiff. One thing I gotta say, you can definitely oversteer this car, turning the traction and stability track off. Yeah, and I mean, you gotta modulate the pedal because it's got a lot of power. But by nature, like when I was going onto on-ramps, all right, let's try it again, shall we? By nature, when you're going onto on-ramps, it feels overall neutral, but you can tell it has a tendency where it wants to understeer. I know you can adjust the springs in this and the camber and the toe on the suspension to make it more track oriented, but by nature this feels like a car, if I was to push it 9 or 10 out of 10, it would understeer turning without using the throttle to modulate into some oversteer. But you know, I guess that's kind of what you get with a rear weight bias vehicle. Besides that, I mean, it's a very fun car to drive. Great curb appeal. I've gotten a lot of compliments. The last time I was driving around, I had like 3 or 4 people had me roll down the window to tell me that it's a cool car and whatnot, which is kind of ironic because right now I'm in LA area, which of course traffic's horrendous. But anyways, you see cars like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, McLarens, what have you, driving around. So for people to honk at me to roll down the window and tell me it's a cool car is a little ironic. It truly does look like a hypercar. Would I say it's hypercar level? I'm not quite sure about that. Yeah, it's definitely stiff in this the suspension setting, especially on this not so well paved road. But yeah, I don't know where they get this 2.9 0 to 60. They must have really warmed the tires up, had a prep surface, all that stuff, because everything I was getting was in the 3s. But still, I mean, quick as hell. And really, I mean, with that pushrod V8, you floor it from really any speed and you feel the torque instantly, no build up with a turbocharger or anything like that, just power just like that. Yeah, and you know, I know that markups right now are absolutely through the roof, but I guess a few other things I'll mention, not really part of the, well, it is part of the driving experience. I noticed last night, you don't notice it with the top off, but you can hear the valves a little bit moving around when you're kind of just like idling and accelerating slowly, and you don't have the engine or exhaust screaming in your ears. Yeah, I can't really notice it right now, but last night I was noticing it. That kind of concludes it. It's a very quiet car with the roof on, the Targa roof on. Yeah, highway speeds, very quiet, and maybe above highway speeds, we'll just say. I'm gonna put a conclusion to this. Fastest car I've drove yet to date. Most fun car I've drove to date. Acceleration wise, but handling, it handles very well, but I'd say I've had just as much fun handling in a Miata or an MX-5 or a Porsche 911. It does have the understeer characteristics if you don't use the throttle wisely, like a Porsche 911, like the 996 I drove. But all right, with that, until next time.